As Nigerians shop for a new leader come 2023, the governor of Rivers State, Wike, has advised the electorate to look out for capacity and competence in choosing who leads Africa's most populous nation next. Well, Governor Wike, who was speaking in Lagos during a women conference, says that Nigerians should be wary of those who drive what he described as ethnic agenda. Take a listen. I'll be back to dissect this.
My friend, who will be a second-time governor, Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu. If Sanwo-Olu is not doing well, even if he belongs to my party, I won't come. So, for me, if you're in my party and you're not doing well, you won't see me. If you're not in my party and you're doing well, you will see me. And that is what I stand for. And I will not regret to say that I'm in support of you. I don't want to talk the other one.
That was just a part of the wider statement and speech that the governor made. But understandably, this particular one has been trending so far. We'll get into that, but having set the background, let's analyze the ideas of one of the parties and its candidates, as well as other key issues that have come up in the build-up to this next election. We're joined on the program tonight from our Abuja studio by a former aviation minister, as a special advisor to the PDP presidential candidate, Atiku, and campaign counsel, Mr. Chidoka, is our first guest on the program tonight. Mr. Chidoka, it's good to see you again, and thank you for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much, and good to see you too.
Well, let's begin with, what came out of Lagos today. Yes, it was just a part of Governor Wike's speech, but it's trending clearly. Governor Wike declaring support for a candidate of the APC next election. That's Governor Sanwo-Olu, knowing fully well that your party, the PDP, has a candidate in the election. Would you consider that anti-party activity?
Well, it's the prerogative of Governor Wike to support any candidate he likes and to endorse any candidate he likes. This is not the first time he's doing it. In Anambra State, during the Anambra governorship election, he did not support the PDP candidate in Anambra. He said it would be against his conscience to fight against his friend who was running for governor. So I believe that this is consistent with his style, and he's at liberty to choose who he likes to endorse. But I don't consider that important because Lagos State people are not going to depend on a non-Lagosian to tell them who to vote for governor.
Well, the question is particularly for your party, the PDP. They say that you should be a party man in all that you do. So is this anti-party activity? I imagine if everyone goes around endorsing other candidates, and when you have your own candidate clearly, so just to be clear, within your party's constitutional framework, is that an anti-party activity?
So our party does not have the constitution of the party, and I'm not aware of any section that prohibits people from expressing their democratic rights. For me, it is for the party to determine, the PDP in Rivers State and the PDP at the national level, the ESCO, to review that and see whether it is against any tenets of our constitution. But if the question is if it is morally right, it is not morally right. To be wearing the flag of a party, to be the candidate of a party. You became governor, you served that government as a minister, and you became governor under the same PDP, and now you're endorsing candidate outside of the PDP. I think there's a morality issue here, and I hope he will be able to address that sooner than later.
For people following this, string of events, seeing him declaring his support for an APC governorship candidate. Do you fear that this might even blow even bigger to supporting the APC's presidential candidate? Because, I mean, it's just, some will say, it's just a step away anyway.
Well, we'll wait and see how that plays out. But it is important to understand that this is, like I said, his consistent character, and he's done it before now. He's doing it again now in Lagos State. So the party needs to review its processes and procedures. If there are no actual provisions against such behavior, the party must provide for that. And like I said, he's at liberty. He's a second-term governor. He's not standing for any election. He's at liberty to do most of the things he's doing because he has no skin in the game, as it were. But it is important to, say that if you want to support the presidential candidate of any party, you're free to do so. But you have a moral responsibility not to be sitting on a PDP seat as a governor, not to be sitting as a PDP governor and be talking about other elections and other candidates. So that moral burden is more on him than it is on PDP to justify why he's taking that position for a party that has been very good to him, up to the point from local government chairman to being governor of a state.
So just before we talk about your candidate and your party and the recent moves, campaign moves for the election, let's just get this out of the way. Governor Wike has said time and again, as well as other governors, the G5 as they are called, that they will not be involved in this campaign until the national chairman steps down for a southern person to take over the helms of affairs of your party. And I wonder, within the maybe presidential campaign council where you are, do you consider Governor Wike and the other governors a lost cause? Do you think they even bring any value in the first place?
No, we don't consider them a lost cause. I can't speak for the council, but I can speak for myself. I don't consider them a lost cause. I consider that we are in a political season and everybody is trying to maximize advantage. But it's important to also remember that, the discussion about whether the chairman of the party will leave has been a consistent conversation in PDP with Governor Wike. He wanted McCarthy to leave. He wanted Secondus to be chairman. Secondus became. He wanted him to leave at some point. He brought Sheriff as the chairman of the PDP, and then he wanted him to leave, and they went all the way to Supreme Court. He brought Yochi Ayu as the chairman, and now he wants him to leave. So even the next chairman is at risk if he continues to be governor, that at some point he may want that chairman to leave. So it is the point that I don't even, he may be making a valid point, but whoever is making that point is important that we look. At what point are we going to find a chairman that will be acceptable to him? We gave a chairman from Rivers State, it wasn't acceptable. A chairman from the North came, it wasn't acceptable. A chairman from Benue has come now, it's not acceptable. So I don't even know if a chairman from the South comes, because he has had one from Rivers and it wasn't acceptable. I don't know if the one from the South comes now, it will be acceptable to him. So I think beyond the issue of the chairmanship is to have him, like we're all politicians, sit down on the table, understand what his fears are, what his worries are post being governor. Because, there is also this, sometimes people get into, I've been in public office, when it's time to leave, there's some form of trauma that goes with leaving public office. So we may need to sit down and understand what his fears are and what his worries are, and then see how we can assuage it. That's the power of politics. That's why we have a matured presidential candidate in Atiku Abubakar. He should be able to listen to him, understand his pain points, and see how we can resolve it.
Did you say understand his pain points? Is the thinking that Governor Wike is pained, going through trauma, as you said? So
his pain points, I'm saying his pain points, what are the issues? That's the pain points. What are the issues that he needs to be resolved before we go to the elections and before he leaves office? What are the issues? So if there are issues, he should raise it, and the party should be able to be bold enough, or the presidential candidate will have a listening ear to understand those issues and see how we can assuage them.
All right, so let's talk about your candidate. I mean, he's been in the news. You had a campaign rally in Kaduna. We'll get to that. Prior to that, he had that engagement, the Arua Joint Committee. And other candidates as well had that kind of engagement, but his has been quite controversial. And for those who think that, well, he should apologize about the statement he made that the North needs a Northern candidate, not an Igbo or Yoruba candidate. And I know you're fully aware of that. So for those who are asking him to apologize for those statements he made, what is the thinking of a campaign council, the candidate himself, regarding that?
Well, I think that, you know, the thing I like about politics is how people can stand up on something, you know, a statement is made, is misread, is misinterpreted, and is turned around to make up for, you know, campaigning. It's politics. So Alhaji Atiku was addressing Northerners, and he was explaining the need for Nigeria to have a president, a pan-Nigerian, to say, I'm a Northerner like you, but I'm pan-Nigerian. I've built bridges across the country. Why is anybody not quoting that part of the statement? Why is anybody not talking about the fact that he said, I have been 35 years, I've built bridges across the country, I'm a pan-Nigerian. So what we need now is not an Igbo president, a Yoruba president, or an Hausa president for that matter. What we need now is a Nigerian president. And that's the statement he's making. That what we need now is a president, a truly pan-Nigerian president, a president that brings to the table the capacity to listen to our issues and to solve the problems. And I think we need to move beyond these political gimmicks and gimmickry that goes on. When people say one thing, we turn it the other way around and we use it for political ends. The point he's making is a very clear point. The point that we need a Nigerian president. We need somebody that will unify the country. We need somebody that will understand the issues and be able to solve them. So I don't think that is a statement that warrants any apologies or any discussion. It is for President Atiku, Vice President Atiku, to continue to explain himself to the politician, to the public. He has, right. We still have 4 months in the campaign. So he needs to go out and explain his agenda that he is a Nigerian president. He is a president that is desirous of making sure that all parts of Nigeria feel wanted in Nigeria, feel united. He needs to unify the country to be able to propose the difficult solutions that must be applied to make this economy and the country work again. So I think that the emphasis on his response to a question and all that he said to one line of that statement is unfortunate. It just goes to what we do when politicians speak. I remember when Barack Obama spoke about the Bible and the guns in the South, and the Republicans held on to it, saying, you know, he's accusing them of being of guns and Bible. But, you know, this is politics. He still came over it and still won the election. Because
Mr. Chidoka, if I could comment now. So you added a third line, and it's important to just lay this bare. You added a third line saying that he also said they don't need a Northern candidate. But what he said particularly was that's referring to the Northerner, doesn't need a Yoruba candidate or an Igbo candidate. He didn't say or an Hausa candidate, which you added.
Yes.
So in the context of that, why, some will ask, why not also say, well, the Northerner doesn't need a Hausa candidate, just a pan-Nigerian or a nationalist candidate?
Yeah, but if you look at the logic of the first part of his statement, where he said what the Northerners need is a Nigerian, somebody who knows the Northerner, who knows Nigeria, who has bridges across the country. My point is that this is still early days in the campaign. He has 4 months to talk to Nigerians.
Okay,
so
what he said particularly, if I could just quote.
He has 4 months to talk, so we are going to hear him as we progress in the campaign.
Okay, what he just said, just to put it on record, is I know what the average Northerner needs is somebody who is from the North. And I mean, the words are out there, the statement is out there as well. But as you said, there'll be no apology for those who might be considering that. I'll still stay with his engagement in Kaduna State. And this diverts to something the INEC chairman spoke about. And I think it's important to just lay it bare as well. And this is about fears around violence during this campaigning period, and hopefully not spiraling into the election proper. I'm not sure if you were in Kaduna yesterday, but your candidate spoke about it. The House Minority Caucus has spoken about it. Even members of your party have spoken about it. And you're accusing the APC of being responsible for that. Is there any proof to that? And what are you doing for remedy?
Well, we're not the ones to, we can't take the laws into our hands. We're not the ones to remedy the situation. It is the government of the day, and it is the law enforcement agencies that will remedy the situation. We are victims of violence. I wasn't in Kaduna myself, but from reports I've read and things I've seen, we're the victims. So we can't take the laws into our hands. We're expecting the government and the law enforcement agencies to respond appropriately.
Do you have proof also that this was perhaps a working of the APC, because it was reflected in the Minority Caucus's statement? Is that on record? You have proof as well?
It was said by the Minority Caucus, so they must have evidence of what they are saying, but it's beyond what they are saying. What is important is for the law enforcement agencies to investigate. And this is our accusation. They should investigate and give a report.
Right.
So the onus is on the law enforcement agencies, not on the PDP.
Right. So the question then will be, and I will still get the commitment of other parties. Yes, a peace accord has been signed, but what kind of messaging political parties given to their supporters at large in terms of how to conduct themselves? Perhaps you can speak for the PDP, and maybe just to reiterate for supporters and party members listening tonight, what do you expect from your party supporters and members out there?
So my expectation is that everybody knows that PDP is the umbrella. The PDP is the party of unity in Nigeria. PDP is the party of peace. The APC has a history of violence and threats of violence in the country. There has been no time in our 24 years now or so in the democratic experience have PDP been the producers of violence. So what we are saying is that our supporters will always remain law-abiding. We're a government that was in power. We were a party that was in power. We're a party that has managed government. We're a party that has led Nigeria through moments of great economic growth and prosperity and unity. So we are not involved, we're not concerned about violence. It is far from our DNA. Our DNA is the party of inclusion. It is the party that has made it possible for Nigerians to speak out. We were the party that passed the Freedom of Information Bill. We are not the party that banned Twitter. We are not the party that disrupted Nigerians from expressing themselves. We are the country that expanded opportunities for people to speak. If we didn't want Nigerians to speak, we won't pass the Freedom of Information Bill. So Nigeria knows PDP as a peace-loving party. It is a party that believes in the contention of ideas. We are ready to contend with anybody on our ideas. We have clear plans on how to solve the problems of the country. We have clear strategies to rein in the damage that has been done to the country. So as far as I'm concerned, the PDP is united, is ready, and the PDP is not going to indulge or engage in violence to make its point. We are going to be relying on the strength of our ideas, on our capabilities, on our abilities to run Nigerian subnational governments that are delivering value to its citizens. So I'm sure, and I speak for the PDP on this,
right,
that we eschew violence, we say no to violence, we will not support violence, and if there is any violence that is traced to anybody from our party, we will sanction that person appropriately.
All right, I think those words are quite instructive as well. Let's wind down on this, Mr. Chidoka. We have just less than 2 minutes on the program. And this is about the person of your candidate now. Yet there are the plans which he has put out, the manifesto, his covenant with Nigerians, as he said. But the candidate of the APC yesterday raised questions about his time working in customs, how he made money selling cars, and was saying that was he not aware of civil service rules on how to conduct himself, how to do business, and that is out there, and I imagine that your candidate will want to clear the air on that, how he made money during customs, whether or not he infringed on the civil service rules.
So the APC candidate is an interesting person. He is interesting that in 2007, he found Atiku Abubakar a very good person to ally with to run for president of Nigeria. He is a very interesting character in that 2007, Atiku Abubakar was the presidential candidate of the APC. He didn't ask him how he made his money then. He didn't discuss his history. in 2007. He has been with him 2007 to 11 and up to 2018. It is more interesting for us to know what work does the APC candidate, what has he done since he left office in 2007 as governor of Lagos State? Does he have a business? Does he have a consulting company? He says he's a stockbroker. He sells shares. We need to know which shares are you selling and buying? Under which company name are you selling them? So he has no justification to discuss about anybody's abilities. And by the way, many people still confuse two things. It is the 1999 Constitution that brought in the issue of what civil servants can do or cannot do, which is agriculture. It's the 1999 Constitution. For most of the time, Atiku Abubakar was in the custom, he was under the military rule. There were no such restrictions on civil servants. It was the 1999 Constitution, if I'm correct, that codified it. So if at any point in time he was involved in any private business as a custom officer, I can tell you that during the military rule, during the time of he was in customs, those were legitimate aspirations. They were not illegal. They were not contrary to the laws of the country at that time.
So indeed, he made money selling cars while working in customs? And the question then...
I'm saying that if he was doing business, it was not against the laws of the country at that time. But the APC candidate has no rights, no moral justification to even discuss this. A man who has million fans going to his house on election days.
I imagine Nigerians would want to know. Let's lay all the cards bare. But this is an ongoing conversation, really. It's been quite interesting speaking with you. Thank you so much for your time on the program tonight. We've been speaking with former aviation minister. He's also a special advisor to the PDP presidential candidate, Atiku Abubakar, Mr. Osita Chidoka. Thank you so much for your time on the program tonight.
Thank you very much.